The arm and shoulder rotation stretch warms up the muscles that surround the shoulder joint of the body. These muscles are used continuously during swimming. The quadriceps stretch stretches the thigh muscles known as the quadriceps. This muscle group is used extensively during the extension or downward thrust phase of the freestyle kick. The triceps stretch stretches the rear muscles of the upper arm called the triceps. These muscles are used to extend the arm forward after entering the water and during the pull phase of the freestyle stroke. The abdominal stretch stretches the upper, middle and lower front areas of the torso known as the abdominals. These muscles are used to stabilise the body and allow it to maintain its streamlined form during all phases of the freestyle stroke. The upper chest or pec stretch stretches the chest or pectoralis muscles that are used heavily during the pull phase of the freestyle stroke. The seated hamstring stretch stretches the large muscles at the rear of the upper leg known as the hamstring. This muscle is used extensively in the leg flexion or up thrust phase of the freestyle kick. The side bend stretch stretches the lateral or side muscles of the trunk and the lower lumbar muscles of the back. These muscle groups are used to stabilise the body and allow it to maintain its streamlined form during all phases of the freestyle stroke. The seated calf muscle stretch stretches the rear muscles on the lower leg called the calf muscle. This muscle is used extensively during all phases of the freestyle kick to keep the foot flexed. Ian has identified 5 important elements to the freestyle stroke. The first element is his body position in the water. For Ian to swim so efficiently and effectively, he holds his body almost horizontal to the surface of the water when he swims. He also keeps his body in full stretch position with his eyes looking forward to achieve an excellent streamlining effect and obtain maximum benefit from his powerful kicking. If Ian allowed his body position to be completely horizontal to the waterline, he would lose the power of his kick. The second element of the freestyle stroke is breathing. For Ian to breathe so efficiently and effectively, he never allows his head to submerge or go completely beneath the surface of the water. His head creates a bow wave, which he breathes behind. He has a high head position in the water, which enables him to rotate his head easily to breathe in. He prepares to correctly breathe in during the arm stroke by having his chin nearly touching the shoulder of the arm that is completing the pushback phase. He exhales gradually after the recovery and entry phase of the arm stroke, whilst his head turns back past the centre line of his body. There are 2 types of breathing that Ian uses during training and competition. The first is bilateral breathing, where Ian breathes to both sides, 1 in 3 strokes. The second is unilateral, where Ian breathes only to one side, 1 in 2 strokes. The third element is the arm stroke. Ian is considered to have one of the most efficient swimming techniques of all time. Contributing to that very efficient technique is his arm stroke. The key elements that make his arm stroke so effective are: he always maintains a long arm stroke. He always keeps his elbows higher than his hands. His hands are always relaxed, and he pulls with the palm of his hand, his forearm, and his shoulder. He continues to extend his hand and arm after they enter the water, outstretched in front of his head, along the centre line of his body. He performs the pullback phase by scooping the water in front and pulling it back down the centre line of his body, nearly touching his belly with the outstretched thumb. And he gains great force and velocity to his stroke from a strong, lengthy pushback using the full extension of the arm. The fourth element is the leg kick. Ian is renowned in the competitive swimming world for his ability to engage his very powerful leg kick to propel him home during a race. This is the product of extraordinary leg power, channeled through an extremely efficient kicking technique. He begins the kick from his hip, slightly rotating his body for more force, then bends his knee slightly, followed by a full extension of the foot. During the upward motion, he heavily engages his hamstring muscle to enhance movement and power to the overall kick. He maintains a loose and relaxed ankle during the 2 phases of the leg kick, gaining maximum thrust from his feet. He allows his heels to just break the surface of the water, yet he does not kick any deeper than the width of the body, as this would cause more drag. Ian employs a variety of kicks during training and competition, depending on what he's planning to achieve. These various kick types include the 2-beat kick. For every arm stroke, there is 1 kick. The 6-beat kick. For every arm stroke, there are 3 kicks. The 4-beat kick. In between the 2 and 6-beat kick, where 1 big and 1 small kick are made to each arm stroke. The fifth element is body rotation. When Ian swims during training or competition, his body naturally rotates or rolls from side to side on its long axis. Ian's body rotation is caused by the rotating action of his arms and is a natural movement. This rotation assists his body to engage the large trunk muscles, making the stroke more efficient. It also helps his arms to recover, allowing his hips and the legs to move naturally with the movement of his body, and his head to turn to breathe. If Ian didn't allow his body to rotate, it would sway from side to side, greatly reducing the efficiency of his stroke and his overall performance in the water. The start for the freestyle event is one of the most important stages of competitive swimming, as it can often determine the outcome of the race. While there are many variations of the start, Ian has found the running start technique to be the most efficient and effective. The running start takes its name from the track sprinter's start, where Ian places 1 foot at the front of the blocks and the other toward the rear. Note Ian's overall feet, body, head and arm positioning when he takes up the running start position. An alternative starting technique is the conventional start, where the 2 feet are placed slightly apart on the front edge of the block. The toes of both feet are wrapped over the front edge. Again, note Ian's overall position as he uses the conventional starting technique. Ian is using his preferred running start technique, where you can now see the many aspects of his start in 3 dimensions. Note Ian's arms, head, chest, body and feet positioning as he leaves the starting blocks. You can see Ian piercing the water through the smallest possible entry point. Note Ian's arm, head, body and feet positioning as he begins to enter the water. Once Ian enters the water, he maintains a streamlined position, making sure that he doesn't take his first arm stroke until he reaches the surface. The turn used during the freestyle stroke is just as critical as all other elements of the stroke. Many races have been lost and won on the efficiency and effectiveness of the swimmer's turn. Ian demonstrates some very important and effective turn elements that make him one of the world's greatest swimmers. These elements are knowing how many strokes he requires from the end of the black line T-bar before he has to begin his turn. He dolphin kicks on the third last stroke to help lift his hips to turn as he nears the end of the pool. He uses his arm to pull down across the body, tucking his chin to the chest to initiate the roll of the turn. His legs then bend up to his chest, allowing him to complete the roll. After completing the roll, he then places both feet on the wall and literally bounces off the surface, his body rotating during the push-off phase, assisted by his arm closest to the pool floor. Finally, he begins to dolphin kick away from the wall, while remaining in a streamlined position, his chin still on the chest, one hand on top of the other, his arms behind his ears, and his body and legs at full stretch. Swimming is a sport that uses most muscles in the body, so weight training can benefit a swimmer's overall strength and flexibility. It's highly recommended that all weight training should be done under the supervision of an expert. All individuals, regardless of age, intending to begin a weight training program should first consult their physician. Weight training can be harmful to a child's natural physical development. Ian performs the following weight training activities to develop strength and flexibility in the various muscle groups. Bench press develops chest and arm strength. Ian spends a considerable amount of time in the gym, doing weight training to maintain his condition, prevent injuries, develop strength and flexibility. Dumbbell incline bench press develops chest and arm strength. The weights that Ian lifts, the activities he undertakes, and the repetitions that he performs are all decided by qualified professionals who assist Ian and his coach in determining what his goals are for the gym program. As a result, Ian can confidently enjoy his gym training sessions. Bent over single arm rows develops upper back and shoulder strength. Single leg barbell lunges develops bottom and upper leg strength. Abdominal crunches. Develop stomach and torso strength. Russian twists. Develops side torso, abdominal and lower back strength. Straight leg flutter kicks. Develops abdominal, hip flexor, upper leg and lower back strength. Reverse crunches. Develops hip flexor and abdominal strength. Lat pull downs. Develops upper back and chest strength.
Swimming is a very social sport that I've always enjoyed and one that has always kept me fit and healthy since I was a child. Over the years, I have come to enjoy it even more as it has taught me a great deal about myself and life. I believe that by teaching and encouraging young children to swim from an early age, they too can enjoy the many benefits of swimming that I have discovered throughout my career. Many memories come back of my early years in swimming when I'm in the pool with children. I really enjoy this opportunity when I can swim with children who are either learning to swim or practicing to improve their swimming technique. When children are learning and practicing swimming, it is important that they use the correct equipment, such as goggles, swimwear and kickboards, all suitable for their size. It is equally important for children to learn and practice the basic skills of swimming. They form the foundation on which their swimming ability will continue to improve. My coach always reminds me of the basics when I'm training in the pool, and I'm always doing activities in the water that allow me to practice them correctly. I believe that my ability to swim as efficiently as I do comes from the many years of practicing the basic skills. In order for children to learn swimming skills, they need to participate in a variety of very simple structured activities that progress in easy stages. The activities need to isolate and focus on the different elements of freestyle, and demonstrations of the activities should be used whenever possible. It is important to note that swim centres offer many child swim programs that provide a wide variety of activities that cater for all different swimming abilities, from learn to swim through to swim squad training. Focusing now on some activities, here you can see one type of activity that encourages children to work their legs and develop their kicking ability, a very important part of swimming. The other key elements of the swimming technique are body position, arm stroke and breathing, which you can observe the children attempting to practice in this activity. Treading water is a simple activity to develop water fitness and endurance. It also encourages water confidence. There are many activities that provide practice for the arm stroke. Here you can see the children again performing one of those activities. Correct stroke style, arm and shoulder strength are both things that need to be developed to become an efficient swimmer. Again, it is important to demonstrate to the children what they are required to do in the water, as it makes their understanding a great deal clearer. The activities should always be fun and not too difficult for the children. I know that I always learn and train best when I'm enjoying myself in the pool. For those children who are more advanced in their swimming ability, the tumble turn can be taught and practiced. It is quite a difficult skill to master and requires a lot of practice to perform it correctly. But it is very rewarding when you get it right. And finally, there is the dive start. Here you can see the children practicing their dives. The skill of diving also takes a lot of practice to be able to do it well. But the sooner you start learning how to perform the dive, the sooner you begin to master it. While some activities have been presented, they only represent a small number of activities that many swim instructors and coaches can use to improve your own swimming ability. They only are really the tip of the iceberg. Like these boys and girls you've been watching, my swimming career also began when I was quite young. I was only 8 years old when I first participated in swimming squad training. Mind you, it was only one half-an-hour session per week. I'm sure through the opportunity given to me to learn to swim and the variety of activities that were presented to develop my swimming skills, if I hadn't have done them and didn't use them, I wouldn't be able to enjoy my swimming at all. And it is my enjoyment that has allowed me to benefit from swimming for life. Please remember that when participating in either recreational or competitive swimming, there should always be someone present who holds both resuscitation and first aid accreditations. When participating in squad training, the instructor should also possess appropriate coaching qualifications. For myself, there's a lot of things that actually inspire me. You can pick up on little things from day to day. Whether it be someone that's helping out someone else, that's inspiration. Someone able to give up their own time for someone else is a wonderful thing. We look at the doctors, the nurses, the teachers that we have that give up so much to be able to help us all out. And you can grab inspiration from that, how people are able to contribute to other people's lives. So, I've drawn from those kinds of people that most people would think are the everyday people or the people that are in the normal jobs as such. And, I can draw a lot of inspiration from them. As I do from athletes, people of fame from around the world. I've drawn from their experiences something or a quality that they actually have in their life and bring it to my own life. And I think we can do that with most people around us. It's take their most positive or their best qualities and use them in our own life.
The grandeur of America's Jesse Owens, 4 gold medals at the 1936 Berlin Olympics in the 100 meters, 200 meters, long jump, and as part of the 4x100 relay team, a feat once believed would never be equaled.
Jesse Owens, he was an amazing athlete, and what he stood for, what he represented was incredible. Not just during his athletic career, but after it also. He was faced with discrimination at the time as an athlete. Was refused to be awarded his gold medal by Adolf Hitler. Yet at those times when people are actually drawn to the ground, to see them rise up in greatness is a huge triumph. And, you draw inspiration from that. You look at the qualities that people have within the human spirit, what they show, and we all realise that, what we do and how we do it affects other people, and we can all make a great contribution to this world. Goal setting is something that you do to try and get the best out of yourself. They can be goals from day to day, or they can be, more of a mid-term goal, maybe towards the end of the year, and then long-term goals of something that you'd like to achieve. And you set a goal at a level where you think it's achievable if you do everything right, if you can do everything within your own power to get those results. And it should be at that level that you think, sometimes you question, can I do that? And you have to reassure yourself, yes, you can. You always set your goals as high as you possibly can. And, they have to be achievable, but you have to work hard to be able to achieve them. And so if you have set a goal, I don't think you can become complacent in any way to going out there and trying to achieve it. And if you are complacent, I don't think the goal's been set high enough if you're determined to actually go out there and do it. Each day, I'm setting a new goal for myself to try and achieve something. I don't really assess them all of the time. I usually look at then goals, that I'd like to achieve over a season, over a year. I look at whether or not I've achieved them. If I've achieved them, you still go and assess those goals and, how you could have done it better. If you could have set your goals perhaps a little bit higher than what you could have. If you haven't achieved them, you look back and say, well, why didn't I achieve that goal? And if you've done everything you can, maybe the goal was set too hard. If you can look back and say, well, I slacked off a little bit here, I should have done that, perhaps I could have eaten a little bit better here. And you look at all of those little things that can contribute at the end of the day and you say, well, how can I improve those things? And if you're able to do that in reassessing it, you've been critical to your own performance. And that's a really good thing, is that you're able to do that yourself. No one else should be able to do that except for yourself. And then it gives you more desire to next time be able to go out there and achieve those goals. For myself, my desire and what I'd like to do and achieve is to be the best swimmer that I can possibly be. And so, my ultimate goal is to be that, and I never know when I'll get to that stage. So continually I'm trying to challenge myself to get to that stage. Past goals I look at, past performances I don't. I move on from them. I learn from the experience and look at the new things. I think, when I retire from sport, either when I retire from sport or when I become very old, I'll actually look back and try and reminisce in those performances that I've had. But, what I look at is the goals that I've actually been able to achieve and what I haven't. One of my goals, which is equally as important to my swimming goals, I want to learn how to surf at the moment. I want to be able to learn how to surf to the stage where when I'm out there trying to relax, people aren't actually giving me advice. And it's usually contradicting advice. So that's one of my goals. And most people go, well, that's fun. That's not as serious as what you do. But, for me, swimming's fun also. And so they have, such an equal level that there's no difference between the goal that I have in swimming and the goal that I have in surfing, because each of them I have to work as hard as I can to actually achieve those goals and do everything that I can to be able to get to that level where I can say I've fulfilled those. One of the very important things is being able to set goals and realise those goals, and the philosophy that you have in being success. It all flows over into life, into different things. It's not just for swimming or not just for sport. And so, my goals in surfing can be similar to my goals in swimming. Some people might not see them as being such a high goal as what my swimming goals would be. Yet to myself, it's an equal goal, because I have to put in just as much work. I have to be able to, be as determined as what I am in swimming to be able to achieve those goals. Well, for me, success is about being able to do something, for myself, if it's swimming, to be able to compete in a race, knowing that I've put all of my energy, all of my effort into that race. And if I've been able to do that, I've been successful and I've actually won the race on my own terms. Because, if you've done everything in your preparation, everything, every turn, every stroke right in the preparation, then you get to race day and you do everything right, everything that you can possibly do to the best of your ability, you've won, you've been successful. Because you can't expect any more than that and you can't give any more than that. And so if you're able to achieve those things, you're always going to win every single race that you participate in. And when it comes to life, if you're able to fulfill every time you do something, do it to the best of your ability, you're going to be able to get the best out of yourself. And it mightn't necessarily be in the results that you receive, but through the experience, through the self-satisfaction that you gain from that. A huge number of people who have actually had an influence over what I do in my life, including my parents and the people I've trained with, my coaches over the past number of years that I've been swimming. Yet it's something that I've developed myself, my own attitude and my own philosophy on swimming and on life itself. And it's something, I guess, that you can't really be forced to think that way. It's just how I feel about things. And I think it's quite a simplistic way to actually look at all things. And a lot of people try and complicate what success and those kinds of things are. But it's a very simple thing, having success on your own terms, however you'd like to have the success.
Vanden Hoogenberg will take the gold. Thorpe gets second.
Well, in that race, Peter, he came first in the race, I came second in the race. Yet, in my own terms, I won the race and I was successful in the race because I couldn't have done anything else. Now, that was the best performance I could possibly give, and presuming it's the best performance that he could give. In those circumstances, I was happy with what I was able to do. And, I was glad that someone else could, share that experience that I'd shared 2 nights earlier in being able to win a gold medal at the Olympic Games. I mean, it's such a wonderful feeling when you set it as a pinnacle and an ultimate goal in sport, and for someone else to be able to share in that feeling, I thought was a great thing. I look at achievement in what I do, and it's being able to set your own goals. To be able to have those goals established at a level where they're achievable, but you have to do everything right. You have to really dedicate yourself to be able to achieve those goals. And if you set those goals at that level, you're going to be constantly striving to reach them. And through striving, you're going to gain satisfaction in what you're doing throughout your life, going to feel more self-confident in what you're doing, and gradually those goals will be put up to a higher level. Well, I have a pretty important eating regime, as we should call it. When I'm at home, I try and eat as healthily as I possibly can. All of my meals, or generally all of my meals, are actually prepared by my mother, except for on the odd occasion when I do it myself. And it's really important for me to have the right food, so I'm recovering from the hard work, training or racing that I actually do. So making sure there's a lot of protein, it's low in fat, high in carbohydrates, getting a great deal of variety of fresh foods. Well, I enjoy cooking. It's something that, I guess I've developed and learnt off my mother, and I've had to as well. When I'm away, it's a great skill to actually have, to be able to use it and to be able to produce something that you can actually enjoy, and then being able to share it with friends and family. It's a great joy of mine, and something that I should probably do a little bit more often. But while my mum's still there, she's doing a great job at it, so there's no need for me to worry. We have a herb patch which my father, very keen gardener, actually maintains, and it's something that Mum wanted, that she could go and pick the herbs, fresh herbs, always available, just to spice up a salad or be able to marinate a few dishes. So I've prepared a few over a period of time. I've got a thing for Thai cooking at the moment, so I've been doing that at home and trying to impress my friends with it. And so far I don't think I've gone too badly.
In the pool, Ian Thorpe's unstoppable, but these incredible victories have prompted comments his performance isn't natural, comments the young star flatly denies.
I've never taken drugs, and I won't take drugs because it is purely cheating.
The Torpedoes just scored 3 wins at the World Short Course Championships in England, where German coach Manfred Thiesmann accused him of cheating.
I've never said at any time that a member of the Australian swimming team was tested positive. If you have outstanding performances, there will always be the impression of jealousy.
It just brings up once again the need for blood testing in international competition, in swimming especially, to prove the innocent to be innocent.
The 17-year-old is tested every few weeks. He was tested again today. The results won't be known till next week.
The gold medalist maintains at least one other Olympic swimmer had an unfair advantage.
I have absolutely no doubt that someone that competed this week was on drugs.
Well, drug use in sport is one of the really unfortunate things that actually happens. It's something that, I guess the majority of athletes suffer because of the minority of athletes that actually cheat and abuse the system that they're actually involved in. And, the biggest regret that I have is that, people actually presume that most athletes are on drugs, especially kids that would generally look up to athletes. So that's a very disappointing thing in itself. And also, I guess, I don't feel like enough's being done within the sporting world to actually eradicate and get rid of the problem. So it really does have to be addressed as a huge issue in sport, so that sport actually maintains the credibility to continue to inspire young people throughout the world, which it's done in history. You go through experiences where I guess you've raced against people or competed against people that are taking drugs, and it's a very artificial way of achieving success, and it really isn't success in any way whatsoever, because it's really the pharmaceutical company that manufactured whatever you're having that's had the success. I've been accused of drugs. It happened to me when I was in Germany, and it's happened since then also. And you look at it, and for myself, it became the most flattering thing that anyone could ever say.
simply because, I knew that I was clean, in my heart. Friends and family knew what I did and all the hard work that I put into it. And so if people presumed that the only way that I could have my success is through taking drugs, it's a very flattering thing for me, the program that I was involved in, the hard work that I did. Yet at the same time, it made me realise, how important this issue is and to get rid of this issue, because it's something where people question performances of athletes that clean, and it's just not right. Yet at the same time, you can change that situation around. I was in the heat and in a very negative situation, yet when I went and competed, I wanted to get the best out of myself. I wanted to prove to myself that I could be successful in the most difficult and dire situations. And in that one, I was down on myself before I raced, yet was able to convince myself and get myself prepared and ready to be able to race at my best when I wasn't in such a good situation. My career highlight and, probably the highlight of my life thus far is being able to experience the Olympic Games. And, through that experience of just being there was just a huge privilege and honour. And so you just feel like you're part of something really special when you're actually at the Olympic Games, which really is, just a privilege for me. The first day of competition was, really a dream run for me. I had my 400 metres freestyle event, which I actually won, and then after it we had the 4x100 freestyle relay, which we, as part of the relay team, we swam against the American team and actually won that race. It was the first time in history that the US team had actually been beaten in that event, so it set a precedence. And I was just really glad that I had that opportunity to be able to swim with three of my mates, three other Australians, and be able to share in that emotion together. Before the race actually happened, I had to get changed out of one swimming suit into another, and I actually broke at putting it on. So I had to put on what was the wet swimsuit before I went out there, and it's something that's virtually impossible to do. So I had about 4 people, gradually getting it on. So I had to run out there right after we'd been announced, so it was just there in time for the race. And watched as my fellow teammates set up what was a wonderful race. Everyone just put in a top performance, and I was glad that I had the opportunity to be able to bring it home for Australia.
In they go, Ian Thorpe. Listen to that roar. This should be something. Gary Hall Jr., the extrovert, and Ian Thorpe battling it out down the pool. Around they go for the final 50. Crawler's in front. Now he's digging deep. The crowd is roaring. Their hero is coming on. Thorpe's in front. Thorpe and Hall. Thorpe goes in. Australia win. New world record. The Australians have just broken the American stranglehold on this race.
Well, being successful and winning a gold medal at the Olympics, it's, the pinnacle in sport. And something as a young athlete you always dream of doing, something that I never expected to do. It was something that I always dreamed and hoped that I'd be able to achieve one day. So being in that state, being able to actually fulfill all of your wildest dreams at one moment is just such an incredible sensation. But to do it in your home country, in my own city, it was a pleasure. And I got up there and stood on the dais and received my medal in front of a home crowd, and there was over 17,000 people cheering, and it was such a wonderful moment. It's something that you hold and treasure so close to your heart. That to try and put it into words, you can never justify those kind of sensations and emotions that are running through your mind and running through your blood at that stage. Yet, it's a time where I guess you feel as proud as what you possibly can as an Australian, and having that opportunity not only to compete for your country but actually to help bring something to your country is a great honour, and I was just glad that I've been given the opportunity to be able to do that.
Day one, Ian Thorpe is number one. A kickstart for Australia. Size 18 feet. And look at that world record. He's got it beaten. Thorpe is coming in. Gold and a world record.
The birth of a legend. Ian Thorpe, 3:40.59, a new world record.
Most of the swims that I've had, I can't actually remember most of the race. You have little snippets and little bits, and that's from all of my experiences that I've had. It becomes very difficult to actually be able to speak of it. But when you prepare yourself for an event like the Olympic Games for so long, when you actually arrive there and are taking part in it, you realise how special it really is and how fortunate you are that you're in a position where you can compete against the best athletes in the world. And so, I mean, the privilege of actually going to an Olympic Games is actually just being there, not about the competition itself. Well, I mean, it's at a stage where I guess, you know, a whole heap of emotion actually comes in and narrows in its path into one, you know, very direct pinpoint. And I mean, it's kind of this explosion that actually happens, you know, of an immense joy, and you know, it shows that, you know, the preparation that you've had for it all actually pays off. I mean, you spend so many hours committing yourself to what you do. So when, you know, something like that happens, the results that you'd like to happen actually do happen. I mean, it's such a wonderful sensation.